Okay, first things first, in order to optimize your asset to make it into a VRM, we need to download a couple plugins for Blender. First one is VRM add-on for Blender. It's at this URL here, which I also include in the description. Just click on download and that downloads the zip. Next one we want to get is Material Combiner add-on. That's at this URL, also in the description. You click on code and click on download zip. And then you have those two, so I can close that out. All right, so once you download those two plugins, you go to Edit, Preferences, Install, and then you look for the zip files on your hard drive and you click Install Add-on. They'll pop up in here like so. Import, Export VRM format. You want to make sure this is checked on. That means that it's active. The other one is Material Combiner. Show to Ria's Material Combiner. Make sure that's checked on once it's installed. And then those will be live. Press N right here on these side folders. You can see Mat Combiner right there and VRM right here. So once that's installed, I press N, close that window. Now I can import my file. My FBX file downloaded from the Dojo Kids website, I think 3180. So when I import the file, it looks like this. I want to get rid of certain things. I'm going to get rid of the backdrop. Select that. I can hold shift. I could get rid of this light, get rid of this light, get rid of this light, and get rid of this camera. Press X and delete, and then I'm left with just the character. At this point, I want to optimize the meshes. So I have all these meshes here, and if I click on data, which is this green triangle here, I click on UV maps, I'll see the name UV map. So I'm going to go through this list. Athlete blue, which is the shoes, called UV map. Belt gold, the karate belt, UV map. Hands, UV map. Sword, punk mask, strap. Strap has a different name called Simple Bake. I'm going to rename that to UV map. Exactly like the other ones. Streets. This one says UV map with a space in between. I want to show you real quick what happens if I join all these and they have different names. Put the mouse over here, press A, select all, and I'm going to hit Command J. On PC I believe it's Control J. Command J joins it all. You see that a lot of the textures have disappeared. This is because the UV maps are different. I'm going to undo that and I'm going to come in here and make sure all of them are the same. So changing that to UV map with no space, and I believe that's the last one. I think they're all, double check they're all the proper naming. And it looks like they are. Now if I select all and Command J or Control J, join it, everything shows up as it should, as you can see. So now it's one mesh. You can call this whatever I want. If I needed to rename it, Dojo Kid. So that is now one draw call for optimization. That means it's going to load faster in a metaverse platform. Now I have to deal with all these textures. Each texture is its own draw call. So in order to take care of that, I'm going to press N and open up Mat Combiner. Click on Generate Material List. Make sure everything is selected. These are all the materials. And I'm going to click Save Atlas 2. This is going to create one file with all the textures on it, and it's going to read from that file. And I'm just going to choose desktop so I can find it easily and create Atlas. And so now it's all on one texture. I want to show something really quick that can happen with varied Dojo Kids. Here we have my combined mesh. If I go to Material Combiner, Generate Material List, you're going to see that the shoes are going to change. So make sure all this stuff is selected. I click Save Atlas 2. Desktop, Create Atlas. And the shoes change color here. That's because it's using a normal to just add the logo. So the logo actually doesn't have its own sort of texture. And when I open up the texture paint, I see it's just all blue. This is a normal. And the shoes right here are black, right? So normally that piece is black, and then they just add depth with a normal. So one thing you can do to adjust this, I wouldn't say completely fix it, but I would select the paint bucket and I would change the color to like close to black. And I would just fill this in. And you can either make it normal or fill it in completely. And so there will be a little bit of customization that vary from character to character. This character is a good example that allowed me to show you how I can adjust that. And then I would save. Well, first I would resize 1024 by 1024. Okay. And save as JPEG. Boom. 80%. Atlas 2. Save image. Go back to layout, and I have one that looks pretty close. The mask is not as reflective as it was before because I got rid of the PBRs basically to put it all onto one material. If I wanted to keep the reflectivity, let me undo this all. If I wanted to keep the reflectivity, when I go into generate materials, I would deselect black glass and create my atlas with that separate. So it keeps that, but the disadvantage of that is I have two materials, which is two draw calls. But so if you wanted to keep certain textures, you could do that, but it's just not as optimized as it could be. So that's how you deal with that sort of thing. But for the most part, you want to try to get that as close to 1 as possible. Next step is to reduce the polygon count. So up here in the overlays section, I'm going to click on statistics, and this shows me my triangle count, 84,000. So I need to bring this down below 12,000 to be good enough for a fully optimized avatar. So now that I can see what's there, I can take this file, hit tab for edit mode, or just go up here and click on edit mode, and I'm going to change to faces. So this is vertexes, which are the dots. These are edges, which are the lines, and faces are the full faces. I'm going to press A just to make sure it's all selected. Go to mesh, clean up, and merge by distance. Removed 164 vertices, and at this point I can now clean up and decimate. When I click decimate geometry, this little drop down shows up down here. I'm going to click that open, and I'm going to change the ratio to 0.3. And when I hit enter, you're going to see the faces change. So now they've changed a lot. And also my triangle count went down to 25,000. That's because it's now a third of what it was. I'm going to hit A again and then hit mesh. And I'm going to do it again. I'm going to decimate from here. But this time I'm going to change this to 0.5. I wanted that to be half of that. But I see now it's 12,564. So let's try 0.45. And that is below 12,000, which is perfect for what I need. Well, it's great. Below 8,000 would be perfect, I believe. But we're going to go with this one because the more you decimate, the more damaged it gets. And you can even see a little bit of a funkiness on the top here. Let's see if I can fix that up. Option N, I believe that's Alt N on PC. Average face area. That cleans up any of the bad angles, any of the significant ones at least. So at this point, I have a fully optimized avatar, but it's not rigged. So the next step is to rig it. I'm going to save this. I'm going to export it as an FBX. And let's call it Frankie Sin, because he's got those old blue eyes, unrigged. And I'm going to save that to the desktop. Let's go to texture paint. Here's my new combined textures, all in one file. I'm going to image, resize. I'm going to change this to 1024 by 1024, enter, and I'm going to click OK. Makes it a little bit smaller. And I'm going to see the image has a little star here. That means that this hasn't been saved. And click image, save as. I'm going to change this to JPEG and make this 80%. And this is going to be Atlas 1, saved to my desktop. So that's now saved. So next up, select my avatar, go to this little clock drop down here, and change that to shader editor. I'm going to drag this up so I can see it, and you get this little set of nodes here. I want to definitely always make sure if I'm using a JPEG that alpha is not selected. I'm going to actually delete this to the X, right? And so we'll see that our character now has no texture. At this point I want to export it as an SBX for Mixamo. I'm going to go File, Export, FBX, make sure I'm on desktop. I'm going to click on Selected Objects, and I'm going to give it a name that I can recognize, right? Frankie Sin Unrigged, and I will export it. Now I go into Mixamo.com, create an account, get all free emotes and stuff, but you can also rig characters. So here I'll click on upload character, and I'm going to look for that new file that I just made, FBX unrigged right here, and open that. And it's asking for a T-pose, fingers spread apart. Luckily, this character was designed perfectly for this, so we don't need to adjust anything here. I'm going to click on next, and I'm going to start placing these where they belong. So this is the chin, so I'm going to guess that's around here somewhere. And the wrists, elbow, knees, groin. I'm going to click next. Now it's going to auto rig the character, which is a good time to take a break. A water break takes about 2 minutes. And there he is. But as you can see, his swords look a little funny. So I'm not worried about that right now. I'm going to fix that, and I'm going to show you how to fix that. Some of the characters that don't have props might be totally fine from this point, but so let's go on to the next steps. I'm going to click next, and I'm going to download the character, FBX T-pose, download, and it should automatically download it as a second copy version of the file that I just had. And so I'm going to start a whole new file to clear out all the junk that I don't need here. Press A, X, delete. I'm going to import the new copy FBX unrigged file, which is actually rigged now. So unrigged is the first one with the copy. That's the new rigged version. Click import. Change to this third viewport where I can see textures. And obviously we see there's no textures because I removed them. So I want to add the textures back now. I select the character, not the bones. You see now it's rigged with bones. And I'm going to click on this little planet here, and I'm going to click on the base color, the little dot next to base color, and image texture. And I'm going to go back over here and click open. And I'm going to look for that Atlas JPEG that I made before, right here, 77 kilobytes. PNG was 3.7 megabytes. So this is way more optimized. And there he is. So now we have a fully optimized character, rigged and everything, but the swords are not working properly. And let's set this up. Now we're going to click on VRM. So I press N on these side panels, click on VRM, click on humanoid, and drag this out here. And we need to connect all the bones for VRM so it knows what bone is for what. So we just go in here, you could type head in there and find head and just add it. And then as you add things, it starts to kind of know what you're looking for. For chest, I usually put spine 1. For spine, I put spine, hips, hips. Over here, you want to make sure you're aware this is the right side, this is the left side. This is his right hand, this is his left hand. So we're going to go, I'm going to do right hand, but I want the upper arm, so it's going to be right arm. And since I did that first, it's going to know what it wants next. So right forearm and right hand. Then left arm, left forearm, left hand, and then right leg, right upper leg, right lower leg, and right foot, left upper leg, left foot, right shoulder, left shoulder. These are optional down here. We don't have eye bones or jawbone that we're using. Upper chest is going to be the remaining spine, spine 2, so I want to remember that for the swords. I could also potentially use spine for the swords. I'm actually going to try using spine this time and see what happens. Right toe and left toe base. Left toe end is this one bone here sticking out, which we don't need. I want to show you the bones. If I select the bone and click on this little running man data, and then click on viewport display and click on in front, the bones now are visible through the meshes. And I can see on the hands that I have 4 bones for each finger, but I only have 3 spots from root to tip. If I select the bones and go to edit mode, tab to edit mode, I can click on 1, the very tip, and I see that's right hand thumb 4. So 4 I don't really need. I need 3, 2, and 1. And so if I were to do 3 here on the root, which is supposed to be on the inside, I'm not going to see 2 and 1. But if I do 1 here, it'll give me 2 next, and then 3. And so it's good to know the order of the fingers, but if you do it wrong, it might not let you enter it anyways. So that's just a good thing to know. So you have to do that with every single finger now, every single finger bone. If you get this incorrect, you're going to have weird looking fists and things like that. So it's good to be patient and get through this slightly tedious part. And really take note of left, right. 1, 2, 3, thumb, index, 2, 3, middle, 1, 2, 3, ring finger, 1, 2, 3, and pinky, 1, 2, 3. At this point, we have an already ready to export VRM. I want to see the character. Press A, select everything, File, Export, VRM. Let's call him Frankie Sin, VRM. Make sure it's on the desktop so I can find it, export. And at this point, I can open up Hyperfire. And here, this is one of my other characters. Click down here, upload VRM, look for my new one that I just made, 693 kilobyte file size. That's really good. And here we see my character. We see the number 4 here. That represents how optimized it is between 1 and 5, 5 being the best. Click on that and you can see the full details. Perfect file size, great triangle number, 1 draw call perfect, 65 bones perfect, bounds perfect. Bounds is how big it is as an avatar character. So it's perfect except for triangles. Again, if I brought that below 8,000, that would be perfect, and this would be ranked number 5. But as I can see here, a rating of 4 includes this on mobile and VR, so I don't really need to push it any more than this to get it to work properly. So I click the floor again, try it on, and then I can walk around with my new character. But look at those swords. Those swords don't look great. They look very flaccid, and I want them to be erect. So in order to do that, we need to adjust the weight painting. Everything else looks really good though. So let's go do that. So back in Blender now, I'm going to select the character. I'm going to hit Tab, change to Faces up here, deselect everything, and I'm going to just start selecting everything that I want to hide except for the swords. And I'm just putting my cursor over and pressing L to select these meshes. And it's additive, so anything that's selected remains selected. And I'm just going to do my best to get as much of the shoot as I can. There's a lot of individual pieces here. I'll look around. I got this guy floating on his chest. Missed the back there. Looks like I got it. I got almost everything. So at this point, I'll just press H, and that hides all of that and leaves only the swords. I'm going to also, for now, hide the bones because I don't need to see them. And then we're going to go to weight paint mode. And so you'll see if I press the right bracket or change the radius manually, I can increase the size of this. Left bracket decreases it. I want this to be pretty big, cover more area. If I drag this over a little bit, I can see under the triangle data, I can see all the bones, all the vertex groups here, all the individual ones. And if I unhide, I can unhide the character with Option or Alt H, brings everything back. If I scan through these one at a time, you can see the colors shift. And the redder it is, the more it's attached to that specific bone. So I'm going to undo back to where it was hidden. And I'm going to remove this. So we see here on the right leg, there's weight painting on it. And I don't want the sword to react to the leg bone. So in order to get rid of that, in weight paint mode, I think it defaults to draw. We change the weight to 0. And we just start dragging and removing that. And these swords are mirrored. So one of them is like normal and the other one is like inverted, which you'll see in a second. I'm going to also hit the right leg just because I know that There's probably some weight painting on that right leg. And I'm just going to hit it from every possible angle. This is easier the bigger this is. You cover more ground smoothly to make sure it's gone. And then I'm just going to work up every time I see something. So left upper leg. So see here, I'm in front and it's not deleting it. This is a mirrored sword. So if I'm on this side, it'll delete the opposite side from there. And so I get rid of all of that. And I'm just going to go through these all. Let's do left leg too, just to be safe. Dragging, clicking, and just trying to remove all the color. Blue means nothing is attached. So the legs are done, and I'm pretty sure arm and shoulder will show something. So there's right arm. And this one's mirrored, so it's harder to see everything. Get it from below, that'll probably... It's hard to get them sometimes. There we go. And right shoulder. You'll see it starts to get a little funky looking after a while. And that's because it's weighted to something else. And so it's a good sign of whether or not it's attached properly. But I'm just going to try to remove as much of it as I can. Any color, it just needs to be that solid royal blue. Get it from every single angle. Right arm, I did already. Right shoulder, so let's go to left arm. And anywhere else that I see color appear. So again, this one is not mirrored, so I'm able to remove things pretty easily. Get it from the bottom, even though I can't see anything. And left shoulder. We're seeing now this one is starting to get funky looking. Two, also mirrored. Let's make sure there's nothing I can't see removed from there. Let's see where else. Spine 2, get rid of those. You see it's starting to get to the right look. So it was the spine that was giving me trouble. Get a little bit closer there. There's something here. I think it's above. I think right now it's pretty damn close. Spine 1, getting it from every angle. And spine, actually spine is where I'm going to add, so I'm going to leave that as is for now. Now I'm on hips. You see hips kind of wrecks the blade a little bit. And that's the last one. If the hips are still messed up, I think there's still something. Could also still be the left leg had something. Left upper leg still had it. Just a touch. Now you see that's perfectly straight. That means that if I hit right upper leg, it's probably the same thing. I'm going to find that bone again, and I'm going to delete it. There it was. So now I got rid of that. And so now I'm going to go to the spine. And I've tried spine 1 and it kind of clips with the back. I've tried spine 2, it clips with the back. So I want to try spine, the regular spine, and see what happens. I'm going to change this weight to 1.0, and now I'm going to make it as red as possible. Everything is going to be red. And so this is all showing the mirrored side. So this is all going to turn red now. Zoom out a little bit, make sure it's all filling in. Get it from every single angle above. Every single angle I can get it to make sure that it's all red. And I'll definitely hit up the points again just to make sure that I'm not missing anything. And so now the swords are one solid piece on the spine. I can hit Option H or Alt H and I see my character again. Go to Object Mode, press A, select all. File, export, VRM. I'm going to do Frankson rigged. And desktop, export VRM. Pop back into Hyperfy. And I'm going to upload my new rigged VRM. Open it up. I already can tell that the swords are upright. Try it on. And there they are. And with this sword on spine 2, it also works better than on spine 1 and spine 2, so that looks good. I can see the back of the belt right there is clipping with the back a little bit, so there's some weight painting work that I could do in the future to make sure that's not clipping. I'm sure depending on your character, there's other things that need adjustment potentially, but for the most part, I have a working, fully optimized VRM ready to go for on Cyber, Hyperfi, and any other platforms that let you install VRMs. Hope that helps.